this is gonna be multi-layered when we cover this too. This is gonna be super multi-layered because we gotta go over like the Hawks game plan post DeJounte Murray, and also the Hawks kind of in a conundrum because Trae Young's value throughout the league, even though he has great numbers, it's almost like no one doesn't want him. So how do Hawks fans really even feel that they have a quote unquote superstar that doesn't really have necessarily the value they think he does outside of their franchise?
Bro, it's I think, bro, it has to do with Trae Young's size more than anything, bro. That size thing, it doesn't really give him a big window or a big window peak, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of teams are more hesitant to get a guy like Trae Young. And I also think Trae Young's game, with the lack of off-ball movements and him being so ball dominant, is like he can't really be a third option on your team, because of how much he demands the ball in his hand.
Correct.
So I think that those kind of play a factor, his game and his size. If let's say Trae Young was the size of, I don't know, like Paulo Banchero, it wouldn't be that hard to trade him away. Like, if we're keeping it real. But unfortunately, the size and how Trae Young's built, lack of athleticism, it makes it hard for Trae Young to find a new home.
Yeah, and how
dude,
you have to hide him on defense too, because DeJounte Murray, he wasn't really big enough to and much of a ball stopper to actually cover up for Trae Young and the Hawks' issues.
Nah, he wasn't, bro. I think that's what, like, this whole rebuild this minor rebuild that the Hawks have done, right? Because they got the guy from New Orleans, Dyson Daniels. They got
they love
Zachary. Oh, he's great. And what's that dude? Zachary Ricochet, if I'm not pronouncing his name right.
Yeah, the first overall. Was he the first? Yeah, he's the first overall pick.
He was the first overall pick.
Yeah.
These guys are just there to, like, pick up kind of the slack and kind of make the Atlanta Hawks bigger as a team, right? With Jalen Johnson, Big O, the center, Clint Capella, and the rookie. Like, that's just what the Hawks are. I think they're gonna go through a minor rebuild. But dude, honestly speaking, like, the Hawks will never be a franchise that can land stars, right? They're always gonna be a team that just needs high value players. And since 2021, they've been on the decline. So for me, it's like, is it really sustainable, or are they just buying time? Because they know, like, Trae Young's not tradable, but they also know they'll never attract a big star anytime soon.
I mean, who knows if they have the right situation? But also the thing with the Hawks, right? I mean, again, it's weird because you look at Trae Young's averages. I mean, this guy, he's one of the assist leaders throughout the league. And I'm just wondering,
that's the strongest suit.
I've always wondered, how the hell do the fan base feel that they have this guy putting up these numbers, but the rest of the league is like, nah, we don't want to trade for him. We're good. And it's like, how do the fans even interpret that? You think they're questioning themselves if they really have a star? Like, how is this perception in Atlanta? That's what I've always wondered, because we've never seen this before. Because the only reason this is happening because of the brand new CBA. Teams don't want to go over the second apron, and now we have players who are super productive, like Julius Randle, Lauri Markkanen, and teams don't want to necessarily trade for them because of their contracts. We just never seen this before.
Nah, bro. I think the NBA has made every team conservative, right? And Trae Young's like a victim of it, along with, like, the other two guys you named. And Brandon Ingram's another one. I think Levine, but Levine, his rally was going up, so who knows? But those are kind of like the prime examples you could really bring up. Is kind of the CBA has screwed these guys into making teams more conservative. So by extension, they're not getting, trades to other teams that can maybe benefit them,
Yep. And that's one layer to it, right? Because I'm not sure if online you watch this channel called Stunted Growth. It's kind of one of these rabbit hole channels you kind of get stuck into, where he talks about, like, the fall off of certain superstars, like what stunted their growth. And he always goes stunt number 1, stunt number 2, and he would go down the list. Well, I would say for Trae Young, another stunt would be the league actually switching up the defensive coverages, the defensive rules. Like, you remember how Trae Young used to step back into shots?
Yeah.
Like, he would step to the side or try to land on a defender, or, like, take a jump shot and jump backwards into the defender. They took away all those things. You know what I mean? So not only the defensive rules got tightened up after the bubble season, actually, and then they kind of made it even tighter after Luka dropped 71 on the Hawks last season. Because they met with the officials around March, and they actually tightened up the rules even more for the defenders to have more of an advantage. So there won't be so much 60-point game nights like last season. So after
Bro.
they tighten up all those things, it's almost like Trae Young, and you add on top of that the CBA kicking in, and then the Hawks strike out with the shooting guard. They strike out with DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
You know, all these things kind of compound on top of each other. It's like, damn. And then look at the Hawks. They got lucky. They get the first overall pick for a team that should have been at least in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
This is
Bro.
This is a very unique. I think this might be the first time a situation like this is really happening. And then the fans, and my bad, and this is why I say, how are the fans in Atlanta interpreting all this? Because this is multi-layered. It's not just Trae Young is not wanted throughout the league. There's certain things that are causing a domino effect to make that, to make these things happen while he's still putting up numbers.
Yeah. Well, I think Trae Young, he kind of came at the era 2018. He came at the era where the NBA favored more offense, right? But obviously through criticisms, kind of like the whole James Harden controversies of him kind of flaring when getting to the basket and trying to, ref bait. It's hurt his game a lot. It hurt like Devin Booker's game for a little bit, but he's been able to adjust to it. Obviously Harden, but those guys are big guys. So it's much easier for them to adopt. With Trae Young, you kind of have to be a little bit of like more finesse in your game in order to get your baskets. So I think they took away his finesse for the most part. Because Trae Young isn't Steph Curry. He isn't like a dominant shooter. I think what makes Trae Young dominant or a star
is his
passing abilities.
Yeah, his passing. Yeah. Definitely
so
one
like,
of the lead leaders in that.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. He's one of the best passers of this generation, right? I guess he's still considered a young player. If Luka Doncic's considered a young player, he's one of the best young players when it comes to passing.
Yeah, so just going back to your article, because you put Trae Young's last ride.
Yeah.
Do you really believe it could be his last ride? Because they owe him, I believe, money for about 3 seasons. It's looking like he's going to have to ride this out.
I don't think he's going to leave the Atlanta Hawks anytime soon. Possibly until his last season, or maybe he leaves in free agency, or maybe the Hawks become good again. But as of right now, bro, if you're Trae Young, you look at your peers. You look at Luka Doncic going to the finals. You look at kind of Anthony Edwards going to the Western Conference. Let's see where like Memphis with John Morant goes, and let's see where Zion goes, right? Let's see how their season ends. But when you look at your peers and they're in a better situation than you, how long are you willing to like stay back and kind of trust in the organization for them to build you a good team?
Yeah, I just don't. He has no choice. The thing is with the CBA rules, he has no choice unless he's willing, after his contract is done, after the 3 years, 27, 28, he's going to have to want to take less money. I mean, I know the cap is still going up, but it's just teams right now, it seems like the way the landscape is, players entering restricted or unrestricted free agency is going to be super rare. I believe Paul George is the last player we've seen leave a team and then got new money somewhere else. But now because of the new CBA, getting the new money is going to be a mission. Going to a brand new team and getting new money is going to be a mission nowadays. Yeah, it's going to be super rare. You see everyone re-signing with their teams.
Like, a guy with no like demand, right? Like Trae Young. It makes you beg a question. When this guy's a free agent, will he get the money that he wants? It's probably a no if teams aren't willing to already trade for him.
Yeah, because he's going to be 29 when he's eligible for that money.
29, and I don't really see, like, unless Trae Young grows, and that's obviously like, what if? We're not seeing Trae Young like making that many developments or many improvements.
Nah, I mean, I wouldn't hold it past him, because we've seen Jalen Brunson adapt to the new defensive rules and not being able to get away with certain things. So there are smaller players that that have adapted. Is Trae Young going to be willing to do the small things, the off-ball movement, improve on his basketball IQ? He needs
to become more of a scorer.
Yeah, take advantage of his positioning in certain defensive, defensive schemes. There's small things that he can do. He can cover his ground a bit and make up for that defensive inefficiency. Go ahead.
I do think the Hawks right now built is a perfect Trae Young team, to be honest with you. Because
Yeah.
his rookie isn't a ball demanding player. Jalen Johnson's a good passer, but he isn't a ball demanding player. Then you got obviously Clint Capella and the Big O, the center. They're not very ball demanding players. They're guys who can play off ball. Boban Bogdanovic, he's a guy off the bench. He can, be a second point guard and play off the ball.
I believe he recently got hurt.
He did?
Yeah, he might be out for some time. He recently got hurt.
Just overall, you could, I'm just making overall arguments.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, that team, for what it is a perfect Trae Young team. But the problem is the perfect Trae Young team, at most, in the modern day NBA post 2021, with all these rule changes, salary changes, most they're making is a like the preseason tournament, not the preseason tournament.
Oh, the
pre-postseason tournament.
The play-in.
The play-in tournament, yeah.
Yeah, all these damn tournaments. Yeah.
I think I mixed both of them up.
Yeah, you know what? They call it now the Emirates Cup. So thank God they got rid of the in-season tournament shit. It's called the Emirates Cup now.
But I wish I had a better name for it. But whatever to make the sponsors happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yo, what's so funny? Melo had a theory on that. Carmelo had said, I think he kind of gave insight to what's kind of going on with the league. I think they're trying to pitch the All-Star game to be like an event overseas.
That'd be good.
Yeah,